Paul Pierce, aka The Truth. At least that's what Paul Pierce is nicknamed as. Wow, just wow. Talk about giving out hot takes on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Anyways, though, this is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Paul Pierce doubting Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving as the most clutch duo in NBA history. Apparently, Paul Pierce is triggered by the thought of seeing Kyrie Irving in the NBA Finals, as he used to be a player for the Celtics. According to Paul Pierce, the most clutch duo in NBA history is Paul Pierce himself and Ray Allen back when they were together on the Celtics in the late 2000s, early 2010s era. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Was Paul Pierce right or wrong in his assessment of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving? And on the surface, Paul Pierce looks like he was correct about his assessment of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They asked the question on Undisputed for whether Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving were the most clutch duo in NBA history. Obviously, the answer to that question is no. There should not even be a debate about that. Obviously, the most clutch duo ever is Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. You look at how Michael Jordan 6-0 in the NBA Finals. He's the most clutch player in NBA history. And of course, Scottie Pippen played a good role in making sure the Chicago Bulls were going to three-peat not once but twice in the 1990s. Obviously, the #1 title for most clutch duo ever belongs to Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. That is not even a debate to me. In fact, Luka and Kyrie are not even in the top 3 for me in that regard. In terms of clutch duos in the history of the NBA, #2 for me would be Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You look at how those guys were always clutch for the Golden State Warriors when it mattered most, and you look at how they were nicknamed the Splash Bros because all they could do was hit clutch threes when it mattered most. They're literally the reason why the three-point shot has become popularized. And then, of course, #3 has to be LeBron and Kyrie. You look at how those two are the definition of clutch. They came back from down 3-1 in the 2016 Finals. Of course, LeBron James makes the game-saving block on Andre Iguodala. And then, of course, Kyrie Irving, he hits the game-winning 3 on Steph Curry in the Finals in Game 7. If that's not clutch, I'm not sure what could be considered clutch, because that is literally the definition of clutch. But if you want to talk about where Luka and Kyrie are ranked in my book, I would put them right behind those guys in the top 3. I would put Luka and Kyrie at #4 in terms of most clutch duos ever. You look at how Luka Doncic, he is literally the definition of clutch player because he has hit a game-winning 3 not once but twice in the NBA playoffs, and he has done that on several other occasions in the regular season. Luka Doncic is an absolute superstar, and he is one of the best players in the world. I am always amazed watching Luka Doncic play. He is actually one of my favorite players in the NBA. I know that he complains to the referees too much, but when he isn't doing that, man, he is such a fun player to watch because he can do all kinds of things with the basketball in his hands. You look at how Luka Doncic, he can drive up to the rim really well. He can make reads really efficiently. He can pass the ball really effectively. He can score on all 3 levels. He dominates the paint. He dominates the mid-range game, and he's a pretty good three-point shooter. You look how Luka Doncic has improved significantly from the three-point line during this recent stretch of games, and you look at how Luka Doncic has been able to close out games against the Minnesota Timberwolves because he's been able to do nothing but make clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. And then you got Kyrie Irving, who has done an incredible job staying disciplined on the Dallas Mavericks and keeping himself out of trouble, because when Kyrie Irving has kept himself out of trouble, he has been a phenomenal NBA player for the Dallas Mavericks. You have to give Kyrie Irving a lot of credit for being on his best behavior this year. And obviously, when Kyrie Irving is on his best behavior, he's going to perform at a high level for the Dallas Mavericks, which is exactly what Kyrie Irving has done for the Dallas Mavericks this year. And you have to appreciate greatness. This guy has one of the best handles that I have ever seen in a basketball player. This guy can do the crossover like no other. And no, he doesn't travel when doing the crossover. He is actually doing legitimate basketball moves, and you have to give Kyrie Irving a lot of credit. To me, they're in the top 5 for most clutch duos ever. I know Paul Pierce took issue with this on Undisputed. He tried to say that himself and Ray Allen were a more clutch duo. That is just a freaking joke in my mind, because Paul Pierce and Ray Allen are not even in the top 5 for most clutch duos ever. Matter of fact, they might not even be in the top 10 for most clutch duos ever. Before I ramble on too much more though about Paul Pierce, he had this to say on Undisputed, and he obviously praised himself and Ray Allen. He also tried to talk down to Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Roll the film.
Me and Ray Allen have something to say about that.
Oh, that's where you're going to go.
We might have something to say about that as far as clutch duel. I mean...
You know what? That's a fair point.
I'm just saying, we talk about clutch duel.
Yeah.
We might have something to say about that. Okay. But, I mean, they got Curry, Clay, Curry, Durant, LeBron, Kyrie.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good... And then Jordan and the Towel Boy. Anybody with Jordan.
Yeah.
Anybody with Jordan.
You just gonna do Scotty like that, man?
I mean, anybody with Jordan. You know, Jordan, Scotty, Jordan and the Popcorn Man, Jordan and the Towel Boy. I mean, Jordan is like, come on, the ultimate clutch man. So, I mean, I think we got to wait until this run is over. Let's see what happens. Let's see if they can put together a championship together, and then we'll, rediscuss this and where they rank as clutch duel.
I'll say this, Paul Pierce, if the Dallas Mavericks win a world championship this season, they're definitely going to be moving up on my list in terms of most clutch duels ever, because these are two of the most clutch players in the history of the NBA. The only reason why they're not higher than 4 in my book is because of the fact that they have not won a title together with each other. But if the Dallas Mavericks find a way to win a title this season, obviously you're going to have to put Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in the top 3. And Paul Pierce clearly came off as a hater when talking about Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, because he tried to boost himself up by trying to say that he and Ray Allen were a better duo than Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. That is laughable on so many levels. But hey, I guess that's why people call Paul Pierce a troll instead of being a truth teller. I find the nickname of Paul Pierce the Truth to be a misnomer kind of name. It's kind of more of Paul Pierce the Troll because of the fact that he is known as one of the biggest trolls in the basketball community. He has plenty of bad sports takes. In fact, the only time where Paul Pierce is speaking the truth is when he's talking about LeBron James. He's too much of a Celtics homer in general, but when he talks about LeBron James, he speaks facts about him, and it's pretty clear that Paul Pierce does have an agenda against LeBron James, but he does have many solid points when roasting LeBron James. But I'm not here to roast LeBron James. I'm here to talk about Paul Pierce's take on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. It's pretty obvious that he has been a doubter of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving the entire playoffs, and he's not the only one on Undisputed that has doubted the Dallas Mavericks in these playoffs. You look at how Keyshawn Johnson, he has terrible analysis when talking about Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. It's pretty clear that he has a vendetta against those guys. Keyshawn Johnson is one of the worst basketball talkers that I have ever seen on screen. They've got to get him off the air when talking about basketball, because it's pretty clear that Keyshawn Johnson knows nothing about the game of basketball. This dude out there is obviously a LeBron James fanboy, but he's not even a real LeBron James fan, because he's not even coming up with coherent sentences and arguments surrounding LeBron James. And we all know that Keyshawn Johnson is nothing more than a paid actor on Undisputed. And as for Skip Bayless, we all know that Skip Bayless' show is going to shut down sooner rather than later. We all know that ratings for Undisputed have been in the pooper. They've been horrible, and they're probably not going to get better anytime soon. I think that show is going to get scrapped by the end of June. At least that's what it should be. At some point, you have to admit that Skip Bayless is just not what he once was. Obviously, Skip Bayless is no longer a draw on mainstream media. Nobody cares about Skip Bayless the way that they used to 5 or 10 years ago. And obviously, you look at how Paul Pierce, he's trying his best to make Undisputed watchable, but it's pretty clear that even Paul Pierce can't save the show whatsoever. And Paul Pierce did a bad choice in terms of joining a sinking ship, because we all know Undisputed is going to shut down sooner rather than later. Paul Pierce honestly should have just stayed independent if he was going to go ahead and move to Undisputed, but that's another discussion for another day. I don't agree with Paul Pierce's take on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. I think you have to obviously put them in the top 5, because Kyrie Irving is one of the most clutch shooters in the history of the NBA. And of course, Luka Doncic is literally the definition of clutch. When you need a basket to be made with less than 5 seconds left to go, Luka Doncic is your guy. He's going to find a way to make baskets more often than not. And whenever Luka Doncic shoots the ball in the clutch, well, you're going to have to admit, you have to feel confident that the ball is going to go into the basket, and your team is probably going to win the game more often than not. And if the shot doesn't fall in, oh well, at least you put the ball in the best player's hands, and he's just going to have to live with that result. But Luka Doncic, what an absolute stud he has been. He's been a phenomenal player for the Dallas Mavericks, and he's been able to put the Mavericks in position to go to the NBA Finals for the first time since the 2011 NBA season, back when the Mavericks had Jason Kidd as their starting point guard. Now he's their head coach, and then they have Dirk Nowitzki that year. He had a phenomenal 2011 playoffs run. Obviously, he's been long retired since then, but that was a great Mavericks team in 2011 that got hot at the right time. As far as how Game 4 is going to play out, I think the Mavericks are going to beat the Timberwolves. It's going to be a close game, but I think the Mavericks are going to find a way to beat the Timberwolves in the clutch clutch moments, something that they have done in each of the first 3 games, whether it's Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving. They're going to find a way to get the job done, and I believe the Dallas Mavericks will end up sweeping the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Mavericks will be playing in the NBA Finals. They're going to get there for the first time since the 2011 NBA season. Congrats to Jason Kidd, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and all the players that had contributed to the run of the Dallas Mavericks, because what they've done this postseason has been pretty impressive, and I believe the Dallas Mavericks are going to finish off the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. That's what I see happening. So that is why Paul Pierce was wrong in his assessment of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, as they are definitely one of the most clutch duels in NBA history, at least on paper. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.